Hello everyone, I am going to take you on a tour through the website Flow of Energy through Ecosystems. So here we are on our home page. This page is dedicated to explaining the purpose behind this project, the standard that it connects to as far as the 4th grade Georgia science standards are concerned, and a little bit of a brief synopsis about why we've created this unit, this project, and all of the resources within it, how they can be applied both in the science classroom using inquiry-based learning, a 5E lesson model, and e-modules. So if you are doing some e-learning with your students, then both students and teachers are able to access this website and use the components within it. Okay, if I'm scrolling down a little bit, you're able to see my explanation about the different components and how our inquiry is really one of the foundational pieces of our STEM subjects and how it is crucial in becoming leaders in our communities for our students, and how they create wonderful scientific thinking abilities, critical thinking, and problem-solving skills for all of our kids. One of the things I like most about inquiry is that it's available for any age group, starting at very young ages. Kindergartners are able to use inquiry, and that is discussed at the top. If you click on theory, what exactly inquiry is. So there's a little bit of an explanation written, and then you can also see through some of the pictures what the inquiry process looks like throughout the unit. There are 4 different types of inquiry, which is wonderful for teaching so that you can really kind of differentiate this based on your students' ability, their age, their level, and any accommodations they may need. So we have structured inquiry, controlled inquiry, guided, and free inquiry. So just depending on what you're teaching, you may be able to kind of modify this for your class, and then they are able to really take their learning into their own hands. So down below, you can also see, again, another model of the inquiry process, how it's starting with a question, which is like really just based in their natural curiosity and kind of like their wonder of the scientific world. They can make predictions, plan, investigate, record, analyze and interpret, and then make connections. And one of the things that I like most about the inquiry is the connections that they're able to make to not only other core subjects academically, but connections they make to their real life. One of the things I also found was this great book about the 5 E's of inquiry-based science. So this is a clickable link. You can click here to take you to the Amazon link to purchase this book or to read more about it. Moving along, at the top, we have connecting to content knowledge. If you click on this link, it's going to take you to some integrated lessons using other content areas. So one of the lessons that I've created is using this Journey North website, which tracks migration and seasons. So there's several different species of animals that they track, including whales, butterflies, hummingbirds. This lesson was actually used in a 4th grade classroom using the hummingbird data. And as you can see, the step-by-step directions are all laid out, including active links to be able to download and watch the videos that are part of this component as well. This is an excellent video to cut for the students once they have gone through the first few steps of the 5E model to learn more about hummingbirds and make those connections. Another thing that I liked about this lesson was that it includes map and globe standards. So our map and globe standards in the Georgia standards are ongoing. So they are taught and then they're kind of revisited at several different points throughout the year. So starting in kindergarten, you can really kind of like allow this lesson to be applicable to more than one grade level. So the way that we used it was they were given data points like latitude and longitude, and then they were able to plot those points on their map and then make predictions about what they were mapping, why they were mapping it, and then they were able to finally see through the website Journey North the patterns that went along with the migration of the hummingbird species. So we have some different objectives here. And then this is a really easy thing for our students to both use in social studies and then even delve deeper into in like a writing lesson or a reading lesson. It'd be very easy for them to do additional research, find another animal that migrates, and this really relates back again to our flow of ecosystems. And then we use this to talk about why these species migrate. What do we know about consumers? What do we know about producers? And why may their patterns or their migratory patterns be in the direction that they are? So what do we know about these animals and their needs? And then how can we relate that to our social studies standard? Back again at the top, we're connecting to pedagogical knowledge and visiting the East Cobb Park on a virtual field trip. This allows our students to see some of the different species, consumers and producers, and decomposers within a very short driving distance from where they live. If you are interested in using the 5E learning module, you can click on Flow of Energy through an ecosystem here, and this takes you directly to the Google Drive folder that you can find all of the components of the 5E model, the assessments, activities, the links for the videos, the checklist for the students. The checklist is also down here below. This is downloadable. If you just click on it, you can download a copy of your own. This has a to-do list for our students that are learning virtually Monday through Friday. Typically, they can work within these lessons within the 5 days. But again, depending on your student's ability, their level, their accommodations, it may take them longer or possibly not as much time. So all of these things are available, as well as directions and additional videos about the directions within this Flow of Energy unit. Also back at the top, we have our cultural component. This book is fantastic. Over and Under the Pond by Kate Messner. It's a beautiful book that was used in mixed media for its illustrations and artwork within the book. Kate Messner is an author who writes several books, kind of like almost a whole collection about different ecosystems. This review focuses on Over and Under the Pond. She also writes about rainforests, about lakes, things like that. So you can have some information down here in the book critique. One of my favorite things about this book was that it was very like culturally relevant, as well as her other books as well. She uses like relationships between adults and children and incorporates them into nature. Her book takes us on a tour of both under and over the pond, so she's able to see the different connections that the flow of energy has through the ecosystem. She gets a lot of her information from visiting the places that she writes about, and that's kind of mentioned in the author's note in the back of these books, as well as like an awesome picture glossary that talks about the species. She uses fantastic academic vocabulary and language when she's talking about the different species. She's very specific in the relationships that the species have within the food web and how energy is transferred. She uses a bunch of really great language, like onomatopoeia, different literary devices, and this is a very engaging book for students. I actually read this book to my daughter, who is 7, and she loved it. She couldn't wait to talk about the animals and read it again. So if you can continue on down, this is kind of a lengthy review. At the bottom of this page, I also included some different resources for minorities and women in STEM. So these are 3 different websites that offer more information, including current statistics and data, and offers additional ways that we can help guide our students towards STEM career paths, whether that be like in a college track or through different trade or vocational programs. So all 3 of these websites are great if you're looking on data. They're up to date, they're very current. So going back up to the top, here we go. We have some additional resources here. Science reviews, journals, and websites. this was one of my favorite articles that I've read recently, The Dazzling Journey to an Aquarium Ecosystem. This is about also a 4th grade class, and the inquiry that they did based on creating kind of like their own mini ecosystems and seeing about the different components. They have guppies in there, some producers and decomposers as well. So they were using really cool technology to be able to investigate further. I think you can kind of almost see it. It's projected up on their overhead or their Elmo. But the microscope that they're using isn't necessarily required. It was just kind of an additional bonus. So this teacher did a fantastic job of creating a really unique experience using inquiry in her classroom. And she details all of this information within this article, which is again clickable on this link. My students enjoyed learning about the role of keystone species in ecosystems, and then going a little bit further and talking about what would happen if we remove those keystone species, like the bees and the wolves. Going down here, you can see this is kind of like a PSA for DIY Lake Science, which is a great app for our students to use that teaches pretty much anything you could want to know about lakes, how lakes and people are connected, lake science. They have cool facts about lakes, indoor activities that you can do, outside activities you can do with your students. It is 100% all about lakes and everything you may want to know, and it is downloadable through the App Store. So you could put this on your iPad in your classroom, and your students could go in there, use their interactive models, and it is fantastic. Let's see. Oops, sorry about that. I'm going to go make sure I didn't miss anything. There we go. And back to the top. STEM careers, learning a little bit more about the different STEM careers that you can have that relate again to our flow of energy through the ecosystems standard, and how we can address these with our students, kind of like how we can use them in the classroom, how we can encourage our students again to pursue these careers, pursue these pathways to really make a difference on our planet using their knowledge and background knowledge about ecosystems. So shark biologists, marine biologists, and a water quality specialist are just a couple of the many, many careers that you can have with this kind of background. And lastly, the challenges and benefits of teaching the flow of energy through ecosystems through inquiry. So like I mentioned on some of the other pages, sometimes it's really nice to have those extra technology tools and extra supplies, but it's really not necessary for inquiry. We can do inquiry in our own backyards. We can do inquiry in our own on our own school playgrounds. We just have to have the kinds of questions that the students can ask, and the ability to take the time to use those 5E models and inquiry-based teaching to kind of help encourage their questions, have them take ownership, and be engaged and interested in those topics. So this about sums it up. I really enjoyed making this website and doing this unit. I've really loved having my students make their connections to their own lives and how the flow of energy of ecosystems really pertains to them and the importance behind it. I love teaching about their growth mindset and the amazing things that they can still accomplish. If you have any questions, there are several different buttons on the bottom of some of these pages to contact me, and thank you for looking at my website.